Numbers 1 and 2 in the review, I have to solve a system of equations by graphing. This will be on the no calculator portion of the test, so you'll have to be able to do this without a calculator. The first step that I do is just plot these like I would normally graph an equation. I'm going to use the cover and solve method of graphing. I think you guys tend to like that. Of course, you could also solve for y and then graph, whichever you're comfortable with. I'm going to cover the x, which means that I see right here that y equals 1. When you cover the x, you see that y equals positive 1. So on the y-axis, I'm going to go to positive 1. And this cover and solve method, really what it is you're plugging in a 0 for that letter that you're covering up, meaning that my y-intercept when x is 0 is 1. Covering the y, you see that x equals 1, meaning on the x-axis, go to 1 and make a dot. So these are my two intercepts. And 2 is enough to make a line on my graph. So use a note card or something to make it really accurate here when you're graphing that. And so here's the first line, or the first equation graphed. Now I'm going to look at the other one. The other one, when I cover x, you see that negative y equals 8, meaning that y is negative 8. Unfortunately, on this grid, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I need to go 1 off of the grid. So here is my point there. And then covering the y, you'll see that x is 4. So on the x-axis, I need to go to 4, make a dot. And then I need to connect these two points. And look at my graph that I did by hand. 3, negative 2, very close. My graph right here is a little bit off, but if you're doing this by hand on your paper, it should be more accurate. It's just very hard to graph on the computer here. But when you do graph this, on my paper, I saw that this was hitting right here at 3, negative 2. Now, often people will graph this, and they'll be like, okay, I'm done graphing them, and I'm ready to move on to the next question. But if you do that, you didn't actually answer the question. It's like doing all your work, but then not answering the question. So I have to answer the question here, and the answer to the question is this point where they cross, which is at 3, negative 2. So I have to write that. I have to write it as an ordered pair for my point. So 3, comma, negative 2, remember x and then y. Then for number 2 here, this one, if I'm looking to do cover and solve, if I'm covering here, notice that 1 is being divided by negative 3 and divided by 2, so it's not going to work out really well. So for this one, I solved for y. I moved the 3x to the other side, which would mean that 2y equals, moving 3x over there would make it positive, because when you want to move a term to the other side, you can just change the sign. And then divide everything by 2. So y equals 3/2 x plus 1/2. And so graphing this is going to be kind of messy. Positive 1/2, so up here at a half. And then down 3 and over 2. So I'm counting, you know, I'm in the middle when I move 1. So this is, oh, it's a positive 3. So up 1, 2, 3, and over 1, 2. Up 1, 2, 3, and over 1, 2. So this should be pretty close for my line here for that one. And then for the other one, I'm going to solve for y there. A negative y would be negative 4x plus 2. And then divide by a negative to get, or multiply by a negative to change all the signs. Positive 4x minus 2. So starting at negative 2 and slope of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. There's the intersection. Up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. So that one lined up really nice. And finish my graph. But of course, without actually saying what this point is, where they intersect, I have not answered the question. So I need to write that as an ordered pair. It's over at 1 for the x value and 2 for the y value for the answer to problem number 2.